Landry Locker, 610 Sports Radio in Houston, joins us now. Big college football guy, but does a lot of great work in the NBA and the Rockets, and there's just a great sports radio station down there. So when you're down in Houston, you have a lot of different sports radio stations to pick, but 610 is the one you got to go to because they're the best at what they do. And Landry joins us now. Landry, I want to talk first about Christian Wood and this trade that the Mavs and Rockets made. To me, it seems on the surface that it works out pretty well for both teams because the Rockets, expiring contracts plus the ability to package a couple of picks maybe and move up and get aggressive. But how do you think it's really worked out for both these teams?
No, I think you nailed it. I think this is a rare trade where both teams benefit no matter what happens. It's worth the risk from the Mavs' point of view. Because you're not going to sign max guys. So what's a negative about Christian Wood can be a positive for them because you're getting the type of production that they need at a position that they need it at. If you watch them in the playoffs, Dwight Powell and Maxton Kleber at center, you're not going to win with those guys playing center. At least not when you need to, like when they face the Warriors. From a Rockets point of view, you don't want Christian Wood around a rebuilding team. And I was actually, I was told earlier this week, that there were agents of guys expected to be drafted high that just didn't want their guy around Christian Wood in this situation. So the Rockets get out of the Christian Wood business and they go with either Boncaro, Holmgren, or whoever else is there. And that's good. And the Mavericks get a guy who can, give you 20 and 10 any given night. Now he has been on 7 different teams in 7 years. But maybe a veteran like Jason Kidd helps him out. And the other thing about it is, if you go back to when the Rockets acquired Christian Wood, they did it so that he could play with James Harden, who's a ball dominant guy like Luka. So they didn't bring him in for a rebuild. It turned into a rebuild because James Harden ate and pouted his way out of town. So it's a good situation for Christian. It's a good situation for the Rockets. It's a win-win, and it's a risk worth taking for the Mavs, and maybe speeds up the progression of whoever they select at number 3. And Christian gets another chance, 7 team in 7 years.
Landry, how long do you think it's going to take for the Rockets to finally have all the places in order and in place to go on and get back to a championship caliber team?
Man, it could never happen. Sometimes you just got to get lucky. The Mavs lucked into Luka. I don't want to say lucked in, but I think if they had the draft to do over again, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to get him. So I don't know, because I don't know how good of a coach Steven Silas is, and I don't know how good of a player Jalen Green is. I know that they've done a pretty good job of stockpiling talent, but you've got to hit on those picks in order to be at a championship caliber. You look at the Celtics; they got Tatum and Brown back-to-back, number 3 overall. So they kind of lucked into that. But in with how bust-heavy the draft is and all that, it could never happen. Some teams never find their way back to it. Just like, you look at the Mavs post-2011. It just took over a decade for us to, even entertain the possibility of them getting back to the finals. So I have no idea how long it's going to take. As far as playoffs, I think we're probably a couple years away from even having that discussion. I think they're going to be near the bottom of the league, at least this year and maybe even the year after that.
I forgot about. I'd put it to the back of my mind, the fat James Harden period in Houston, where you look and be like, is that a French fry in his beard? I think it's a French fry in his beard. Yeah, because it's just how it was. But you said bottom of the league, but they've braced for that for a little while, haven't they? Like they're not trying to sell like, hey, we can fix this in a hurry.
Yeah, they're not selling that, but it will be an interesting thing to look at. Just how if they do have another year like they have the last 2, how the owner Tillman Fertitta handles it. His son has kind of been working, shoulder to shoulder with Rafael Stone, who's the GM here. But Tillman Fertitta's not a very patient guy. You don't become as successful as he has and have all the restaurants and run businesses the way he does by wanting to, be in last place. Now, he's not willing to pay the money like a lot of owners are, the luxury tax, etc. But I don't know how patient he's going to be if they have another year like that. Although in a strange way, it might be more productive because you look at the top of the upcoming draft. It's going to be as impressive. Not this one, the one a year from now. It's going to be as impressive at the top as we've seen in a long time. Another kid from France, supposed to be one of the best prospects of the last 10 years. So I guess the basketball guys are patient, but I don't know how much longer the owner, who inherited a team that was in the Western Conference Finals going toe-to-toe with the Warriors, how much more patient he's going to be able to be. It'll be interesting to see.
Landry, what's the pulse around the city regarding being able to host the FIFA World Cup?
A lot of excitement. My co-host, John Lopez, actually called it one of the best days in the history of Houston sports. He's a little bit dramatic sometimes. I'm not really a soccer guy, but I do understand like the appreciation of it. I know there was a lot of effort put into it. Chris Canetti, who is a very well-respected guy who helped get a few sports organizations off the ground here, including the Dynamo. It's been his full-time job the last 3 years. So there were a lot of resources and efforts put into it. And there does seem to be a lot of excitement for it. I'm excited for it, but there is a real high excitement level. And when a guy who's been covering sports here for 4 decades says it's
Hold on. Let me do a little housekeeping here. Hey, Landry, we lost you a second. Hello? Oh, let me try to no. All right, well, let's talk amongst ourselves while I call him back real quick.
I was thinking about that because Houston's such a proud city, and granted, they've been given the Texans are hit and miss. They've obviously had a lot of turmoil. The Rockets, they're going through another rebuilding process. You got rid of one of your best players. It's like they really needed some positive reinforcement for that city.
Landry, you back? We lost you.
7.
Nope. See, this is what happens when I have to call a guest on the air. All right, let's try one more time. Hey, Landry, you back?
Voice message system.
All right. Hey, Jack, can you just come and take over this for me? There. All right. But yeah, no, they do. They need some juice. So they need some juice a little bit there, but yeah. All right. Jack, we got him? All right, Landry, there we go. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. When you do 2 cell phones, you never can trust it. But it is a great thing for Houston. I wanted to get to about Houston joining the Big 12. That Houston, the city, is now a Big 12 town. You're a big time Big 12 guy yourself. How does that juice flowing in the city of Houston now that they're coming in 2023?
It's interesting, because there's excitement obviously because you want to get in the Big 12, but is it really the Big 12 when Texas and Oklahoma are leaving? I do wonder, what is going to what the landscape is going to look like. Could we see it transforming from a basketball perspective? I know it's going to be really nice from a football perspective. I don't know what exactly to expect, and where the Big 12 is going to stack up on, as far as Power 5 conferences and where it's going to be. But there is a lot of excitement getting in there, and I know it's been a lot of excitement for you guys with the dominant stretch that you've had. But it's exciting, but there's a little bit of anxiousness as well, and we don't know, is Texas and Oklahoma still going to be in? Are we going to see them throw some money out there? Excitement, but uncertainty would be the way to describe it.
I think one of the key topics on the show the other day regarding this is Texas being able to play Houston. And if that game takes place, do you want to see, general consensus, I think everybody who's a Houston fan wants to see Texas go to Houston and play the Cougars, right?
Yeah, there just needs to be, that's the good thing about it, is right now in the American Conference, there's really nothing to look, you can look forward to games, but there's really just the environment, you got teams coming here that don't really, there's they don't travel very well. It's not, there's not as much like, regional rivalries and stuff. So even like Baylor, even Oklahoma State, even like TCU, it'll be good to see those teams every year just because there is some sort of history and there is some sort of ties. But of course, you always want Texas or Oklahoma to come to your arena. But it'll just be nice, or to your stadium, wherever. It'll just be nice to have like some sort of like regional excitement with the games that come here, because it just really hasn't existed that much in the American.
Landry, how do you see the conference shaking out this year with Texas gets Quinn Ewers? They had a great recruiting class in the offensive line, but I think it'd be kind of foolish to think that that's going to change everything right away, and that's still probably their biggest weakness along the fronts. But their skill positions look pretty unbelievable, and if Quinn Ewers is the guy that everybody thinks that he is, Steve Sarkisian could maybe take less Advil this year after games.
Yeah, my goodness, and maybe not gain 30 pounds during the season too. I kid, kinda. But I think the offense is going to be good. I think the freshmen are going to have to learn how to block, and they're also going to have to figure out how to get on the same page. But from the skill position standpoint, I can't remember it being this good in a long time, at least on paper. You have one of the best running backs in the country. You probably have one of the best receivers in the country in Worthy. I actually thought Stark schematically did a good job calling games last year. There were just a lot of throws missed, and you just didn't have the talent at the quarterback position, and you weren't blocking anyone. I think Texas is going to be competing to get into the Big 12 championship. I think there could be somewhat of a jump, like you saw from Aranda year 1 to year 2, but it is going to come down to the kids being able to block. And Ewers, I think Ewers can spin it. I could see Ewers being, already one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And I think the receivers, from Worthy down are as good as they've been in a long time. And there's a lot of speed there. So I think they'll compete near the top of the Big 12. But I mean, let's be honest. How many times has that been said in the last 10, 12 years? And, there was a disappointment, but I think this time Texas, I'm not going to say they're back or anything like that, but I do think they'll be competing near the top of the conference. I don't feel as good about OU though. I'm very down on Oklahoma, more so than I've been in a long time. So that's really what I'm very intrigued to see, is what Oklahoma looks like without Lincoln Riley, with all the guys they lost, with Brent Venables. It's really a wide open conference. It's going to be a very, very fun conference to watch.
Landry, you spent time in Texas Tech and out in Lubbock area. What are your overall thoughts on Joey McGuire, and really in particular the recruiting class he's been able to put together? When you talk about Texas Tech recruiting, forever it's been you can't get kids to West Texas, you can't get guys to Lubbock. Well, he's having a hell of a job with it.
Yeah, and I really respect Coach McGuire, and just the way that he carries himself, the way that he seems to respect what college football is in the state. We talk about all the NIL and stuff like that, and I think guys like Coach McGuire can actually benefit from the NIL. I don't think they're going to be like giving away obviously they're not going to be giving away Lamborghinis and $1 million endorsements and all that type of stuff, but it does just seem like the true college athlete that just wants to go out there, have a coach who parents feel comfortable sending their son to. He has good relationships. He knows how to coach ball, all that type of stuff. I think guys like that, in a strange way, are actually going to benefit from NIL, because it just seems like a real pure, like old school-ish kind of vibe. I'm pulling for him. It will be interesting to see, what it looks like on game day. But I pull for guys like that, and I think guys like that can actually thrive with the NIL, because there'll still be NIL opportunities, but there's just more of like an authentic feel for coaches like that.
Landry, okay, right now, if you had to pick the Big 12 champion, who would it be?
Gosh, I'm going to say this, and it's going to look really silly. I'm going to pick Texas as the Big 12 champion, and it has as much to do with what everyone else has lost as opposed to just how good I feel about Texas. I think when you're Oklahoma, lose Lincoln Riley.
Check him again there, Jack. He's got my phone.
Hot take with Texas.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Let's try to get it back just so we can finish that thought. And then, because I want to. All right. Hold on. Coming through the air to you, buddy. All right. Landry.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right, finish your thought on Texas. And then we can let you go and we can charge both of our phones.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to go with Texas just because I think a lot of teams lost a lot of stuff. I think Oklahoma. I think Britt Venables is going to be a bad coach at Oklahoma. I just don't. I'm not feeling Venables as much as a lot of people at Oklahoma are. I didn't even know that they disliked Lincoln Riley till after he left. And I talked to OU people on the reg. I'm going to go with Texas just because I think a lot of teams lost a lot of stuff, including Baylor. They lost Petrie. They got some stuff to replace. So I'm going to go with Texas, and it's going to be and in large part it's because of what we saw with Baylor last year and the leap that Aranda made. I think that Steve Sarkisian makes a similar leap, centered around the offense and a couple key pieces on defense, a little bend, don't break defense. So I'm going to go Texas. I'm going to go Sark. Improvement from year 1 to year 2, just like Aranda.
All right, Landry Locker, Sports Radio 610 in Houston. Landry, always great to talk to you, buddy, and we'll have you on again soon.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, Landry Locker. Grayson Grudenhaver comes up.